By 1917, the nations of Europe have engaged in 3 years of unimaginable death and destruction. The United States has resisted joining the conflict until German attacks on American commercial shipping, along with other threats and outrages, lead the U.S. into the war. The American soldiers come from all walks of life: farmers, shopkeepers, college students, and factory workers. The men are wealthy, poor, white, black, Native American, citizens, and immigrants. When the soldiers arrive in Europe, they are determined to fight, but are unprepared for the killing machine that awaits them. The 27th and 30th Divisions are ordered to fight under the command of the British Army near Ypres. Day and night, artillery shells rain down upon them. The death toll is staggering. "I knew how a man felt who was condemned to die," recalls one soldier. "We all thought it was our last day." Another writes, "It was a slaughter. The machine gun fire was thicker than flies in summer." Still, the men press on. A few months later, the 37th and 91st Divisions arrive to fight under the command of the Belgian king. The Americans help clear the dense Spital woods and capture the land where this cemetery stands today. Every few yards comes at a steep price. Private Stanislaw Lobno, a 25-year-old Polish immigrant from Nebraska, is one of the first on the battlefield. Almost immediately, an artillery shell takes his life. Sergeant Carl Ross, a 26-year-old clerk from California, single-handedly takes on a German machine gun nest at the cost of his life. Despite the heavy losses, the Allies succeed in forcing the enemy into a full retreat. And within days, the Germans sign an armistice to end the war. The number of casualties in the wake of the Great War is horrifying. The war claims the lives of over 110,000 American soldiers, 1,200 in Belgium. Never have so many Americans fallen so far from home. Their families are torn with grief. Now, they must decide whether to bring their loved ones home for burial or leave them in the Belgian soil they fought so valiantly to liberate. The families of Stanislaw Lobno, Carl Ross, and others choose to bury their sons where they have fallen. A grateful Belgian king offers land to the United States to be the final resting place for these soldiers who made the ultimate sacrifice. In Washington, Congress creates the American Battle Monuments Commission in 1923. Their mission: to create monuments and improve cemeteries overseas where American war dead are buried, and above all, to ensure that these veterans are always honored with dignity. In 1929, the mothers and widows of those killed in action and buried overseas lobbied Congress to fund pilgrimages to Europe so they could visit the graves of their sons and husbands. When these Gold Star mothers and widows arrive at Flanders Field American Cemetery, It is the resting place of 368 dead and venerates 43 missing. The women are relieved to find the grave sites beautiful and immaculately maintained. Our country can never repay you, General Pershing tells them, but these marble headstones will proclaim the righteousness of the cause for which they fought. As one mother remembers, it was a sad, hard trip, but it was a wonderful privilege to visit my dear boy's grave. As decades pass, the memory of World War I begins to fade, but never in Belgium. As early as 1923, Belgian school children have gathered annually on America's Memorial Day to commemorate the dead. Members from the local community have also stepped forward to adopt graves of individual soldiers.
Being the grave adopter, I give talks about World War I and the American involvement, and also the stories of Stanislas and a few other soldiers that are buried here. So in a way it's getting out the news, the message that these soldiers still represent the US in a special way.
The adopters bring flowers, learn about the soldiers' lives, and seek out their distant relatives, ensuring that every soldier buried here is remembered and none has died in vain.
The soldier we adopted is Carly Ross. He was 23 when he died. He was killed in action in the woods behind here. He was really brave. I think it's important to remember Carly Ross and the other soldiers here because they fought for us to live now happily and not speak German, just to speak our own language. And I find it very nice of them to do that.
En ik denk dat het toch het minst is dat je kunt doen, maar er is niemand die verplicht heeft voor die man uit een vreemd land naar hier te laten komen om ons te bevrijden. Dat heb ik meegedacht.
The respect for these fallen American soldiers deepens the friendship between the American and Belgian people and ensures that no matter how many years pass, the memory of these Americans will live on in the hearts of each new generation. As the brother of Lieutenant Kenneth McLeish wrote of his visit to Flanders Field, "I can't think of a better place for Kenny to rest. Kenny won't be forgotten or lost there, and nowhere could he receive more loving care."